Fisher.
Motion relating to United Nations Human Rights Day in the terms in which it appears on the notice paper. Madam Deputy Speaker, next Tuesday, the 10th of December, is Human Rights Day. It is the 70th anniversary of the moment that the United Nations affirmed mankind's belief that all human rights are born free and equal in dignity and rights. A restatement, a recommitment to those universal values and to the inherent rights proclaimed in that document that were desperately needed in 1948. They are just as critical now. I know that colleagues will speak eloquently and in detail about them following this speech. But I'd like to take this opportunity to draw the House's attention to the deeply disturbing infringements taking place every year of the human rights of those who form the first defence for others, our fellow parliamentarians worldwide. Madam Deputy Speaker, as you know, we recently attended the Interparliamentary Union meeting in Serbia, where we joined 1,800 other parliamentarians from around the world in discussing many of the important issues which unite us. Throughout, I was impressed by my colleagues' commitment and passion for addressing the many challenges that we face. However, during a session of the Committee on the Human Rights of Parliamentarians, I was shocked by the dreadful stories that we heard. We heard about 5 parliamentarians in Uganda who were violently arrested in August 2018 in the district of Arua, after the passing president's convoy was pelted with stones. 2 were tortured, while 4 sustained injuries during the arrest. We heard about credible reports of attacks and violent intimidation, politically motivated criminal proceedings, arbitrary detention and confiscation of travel documents in Venezuela, targeting 96 parliamentarians from the Democratic Unity Roundtable since 2017. We heard about the abduction of independent MP Ms. Siem Sergewa from her home in Libya by masked men. They wounded her husband and daubed "The army is a red line not to be crossed" on her house. Since her abduction in July, no trace of her has been found. We heard about the alleged attempted murder, abduction, arbitrary detention, property destruction and exile faced by 69 members of the Yemeni Parliament since 2014. Of course, we also heard about the 600 separate criminal and terrorism charges brought against members of the People's Democratic Party in the Turkish Parliament over the last 4 years. Chillingly, many of these charges are for defamation of the President or the Turkish government. Some 29 Turkish parliamentarians are already in jail. In total, there are 468 cases around the world currently being addressed by the IPU's Committee on the Human Rights of MPs. Now, I would understand if those outside watching this presentation asked, why are the rights of MPs so important when people of all kinds face oppression? Madam Deputy Speaker, where the rights on members of Parliament are infringed, the rights of all citizens are at great risk. In most countries, parliamentarians are afforded special privileges and freedoms. We spend a great deal of time in secure institutions. Often we're provided with the protection of police or security services. We're high-profile figures whose lives and work play out very visibly in the public domain. Parliamentarians have greater freedoms than most. They're protected and infringements of their rights are harder to conceal. Where parliamentarians are at risk, no one is safe. We can be sure that their suffering is only the most visible part of a deeper and more widespread problem. Further, when human rights are at risk, it is the people's elected representatives who form their first line of defence. Our unique privileges, our direct access to government and our national media platforms give parliamentarians worldwide the ability and the duty to stand up for their constituents. Sometimes this advocacy can bring about real change in itself. Other times it can be a powerful symbol and a rallying cry for those who would peacefully resist.
I thank the member for